we might have some bad news.
But yes, Blake is totally, well, again, she's in the higher ground, and it was definitely, I think, more of a win for her than a graceful loss for Baldoni so far.
Justin Baldoni just dropped a bombshell in court by flat-out refusing to amend his claims against Blake Lively. It's a bold, unexpected legal move. But does this mark the end of their courtroom chaos? Or is there still a hidden Joker card waiting to flip the entire case on its head? Let's break it all down.
Well, rather than speculate, let's go straight to the source. Brian Friedman has released this statement. Court's decision on the motion to dismiss has no effect whatsoever on the truth that there was no harassment nor any smear campaign, and it does not in any way affect our vigorous defense against Ms. Lively's claims. Discovery is proceeding, and we are confident that we will prevail against these factually baseless accusations. Instead of revising the existing claims, our clients will be pursuing additional legal options that are available to us. Brian Friedman. Now, he's not being kind of vague. He's saying, yeah, trust me, we're doing something else. But I go to you, Chris. I'm going to go to you first, Chris. Is this a strong move? Do you think this is the right move to forego amending that complaint whatsoever? And what do you think this means?
Why would Justin Baldoni, a man everyone thought was bracing for a legal war, suddenly pump the brakes? That's the question that has the legal world buzzing. The speculation exploded after Baldoni missed a crucial court deadline to amend his complaint against Blake Lively. Now, pause for a second. His legal team, led by the razor-sharp Brian Friedman, had strongly hinted that a revised complaint was on the way. This wasn't just routine paperwork. It was expected to be the lifeline that kept his case alive. When nothing was filed, the silence was deafening. Legal analysts like Christopher Melcher and Ron Zambrano were among the first to call it what it looked like: strange, even suspicious. And it gets worse for Baldoni. Judge Lyman had already dealt a major blow by dismissing the defamation claims with prejudice, a legal term that means those claims are permanently dead. There's no do-over, no second shot. According to Melcher, that ruling ripped the backbone out of Baldoni's case. The only thing left standing was a claim about Lively allegedly interfering with his professional relationships. And here's where it gets even more puzzling. Baldoni had the chance to amend that last claim and chose not to. On the surface, it looked like he was waving the white flag. But legal experts like Zambrano aren't buying it. They believe this isn't surrender its strategy. Think about it. Friedman is known for his calculated moves. He might be setting the stage for a different kind of offensive, one that doesn't rely on courtroom theatrics, but on discovery. That's the legal phase where both sides have to hand over documents, emails, and other evidence. It's not just paperwork, it's a chance to uncover damning secrets. And if Blake Lively has something to hide, discovery could expose it. Melcher broke it down further. California law makes defamation claims especially hard to win, particularly when the statements involved could be seen as personal opinions rather than lies told with malicious intent. Plus, Baldoni's team didn't even argue actual Melissa legal standard required to make the claim stick. Without it, Judge Lyman essentially guaranteed the case wouldn't make it to a jury, so why skip the amendment? It might be a tactical retreat. As Zambrano suggests, this could mean Baldoni's team is pivoting completely away from headline grabbing claims and toward the quieter, deadlier phase of litigation. Discovery is where reputations get shredded. And Melcher floated an even juicier possibility. What if Baldoni already has something explosive on Blake Lively? Imagine this: a piece of evidence, a message or a recording, something powerful enough to destroy Lively's public image and pressure her into settling. If Baldoni does have a Joker card, he's playing it close to the chest. And when it hits the table, it could flip the entire narrative.
I mean, I think when we were looking at this earlier, I assume both sides were looking for an off-ramp here to, get out of this with dignity and both claim victory. But with this ruling, there's a component that goes along with it, which is a mandatory fee shifting. So all of her reasonable attorney's fees that she incurred in resisting the complaint that Justin and Wayfair brought against her and the others, the court has to order Justin and Wayfair to reimburse her for all those attorney's fees under Civil Code Section 47.1. That is going to be a huge amount of money, and I can't imagine she's going to walk away from that. So that just made it so much more difficult for just some settlement to happen without him potentially reaching into his pocket and pay. Yes, and I agree totally with Ron that maybe this is going to just be a discovery war and go get this information and publicize it and embarrass her. But the problem is that she can just show up for that depot and be uncooperative. Eventually, she will be forced to answer the questions and could be penalized for not cooperating, but she could delay it. So I think it's very difficult to get a walk away unless there is something out there that is going to be so embarrassing to her that it's more important to her ego to drop this case than to pursue it. And you got to remember who we're dealing with. I mean, this is the person who set him up, at least it looks like, set him up with these claims, went after him very aggressively, and then for all of a sudden, if that's truly who she is, for her to like change her stripes and saying, oh, I'm going to be a good person and do the right thing, then we may be asking for too much.
Flake Lively is no stranger to playing her cards right, but as she basks in what looks like a clear legal victory. The question remains, did she truly win? Or is this just a momentary triumph? Legal expert Ron Zambrano declared her currently in the lead, and it's hard to argue with that conclusion. Justin Baldon's decision not to amend his complaint has undeniably shifted the momentum in her favor, especially after his defamation claims were dismissed with prejudice. This type of ruling isn't just a technicality, it's a declaration that those claims can never see the light of day in a courtroom again. If you're in Lively's camp, that's a big reason to pop champagne. But here's the twist. Why would Baldoni, so publicly invested in seeking accountability, choose not to push forward with his last remaining claim if he believed he had the evidence to win? Why wouldn't he try California's legal landscape? Might hold some of the answers. The state's laws are notoriously protective. When it comes to defamation claims, under these rules, the burden is placed heavily on the plaintiff, requiring them to prove not just that the statements in question were false, but also that they were made with explicit malice. It's a high bar to clear, especially without leaving room for interpretation as opinion. Christopher Melcher, another legal analyst following the case, pointed out that this environment strongly favors the defendant, Blake Lively. Then there's the matter of perception. Public opinion is swayed easily, and Baldon's retreat has helped shift the narrative squarely toward Lively's favor when all the defamation claims against her were thrown out. It reinforced the idea that the accusations lacked any real merit. Whether or not that's true doesn't matter as much as how it looks, and right now it looks like Lively walked away unscathed. This kind of win matters more than ever in the court of public opinion, where every headline contributes to shaping a celebrity's brand. Lively, of course, has another reason to feel untouchable under California's civil code. She can recover attorney's fees as the prevailing defendant, a financial cushion that leaves her with little reason to entertain a settlement. Experts like Zambrano even suggest that this sneaky financial advantage might make her more stubborn about negotiating. Why settle when you're in the driver's seat and poised to bill your legal expenses back to the other side? But before anyone writes this off as over, consider this. Baldoni backed off, yes, but some believe it's because he's gearing up for a more strategic attack. Discovery is where the real fireworks often happen in cases like this, and if Baldoni can unearth anything that even slightly tips the scales, Lively celebrations might be short-lived. What if it's not a closed chapter, but the start of a far bigger game?
The next step is he's going to have to pay her for the attorney's fees.
Right, but so then I'll go to you, Ron. Why wouldn't she just drop it then at this point and play like I said? Well, you know, all too many friends are getting involved. It's getting too ugly. I want to stand up for myself, but it's too much. Couldn't she play that card and then suddenly she wins it all?
She could, but she won't. I mean, what Chris was saying, which is that's kind of not who she's been demonstrating she is. Right now, she has, for lack of a better phrase, she has kind of two victories. One, she decimated his case, and then he's like, I'm not even going to try for the rest of the case. So she's, she has higher ground in this war right now, and she has no reason for her to give up anything. So there has to be something that would give her so much potential pain for her to avoid. But right now, she can ask for attorney's fees for what she has won so far, and there's no claims that she's defending. So I just don't see her. I don't see her doing that, like Chris said.
Could Justin Baldoni have a secret up his sleeve that could knock Blake Lively off her pedestal? Legal analysts certainly think so, Ron. Zambrano and Christopher Melcher have hinted at the possibility of a Joker card sitting quietly in Baldon's back pocket, a potential gamaker that might explain his sudden pullback. The real question isn't whether Baldon has something to use, but what that something could be, and if he does. Lively's current celebrations might be a little premature. Here's where it gets interesting. Speculation is already swirling that Baldon's team might tap into the gold mine that is the discovery phase to uncover evidence Lively would rather keep hidden. Let's start with the juiciest rumor whispers of Blake Lively allegedly asking Taylor Swift to delete texts that might connect her to questionable behavior. That's right, Taylor Swift herself. If Baldon's attorneys can prove Lively attempted to delete or destroy evidence, the implications could be nothing short of catastrophic for her case. As Zambrano bluntly put it, if there's evidence that Blake has communicated to others to destroy evidence, the judge will absolutely punish her, and he's not talking about a slap on the wrist here. The penalties he described, sanctions severe enough to end the case outright or even tarnish Lively's reputation, are enough to make anyone nervous. Imagine this playing out. Baldon's team uncovers deleted communications proving Lively tampered with the process. That's a nightmare scenario for her legal team, but Melcher doesn't believe it's entirely far-fetched. He suggested that the right kind of evidence, even just devastatingly embarrassing information, might be enough to pressure Lively into some sort of negotiated settlement. After all, this isn't only about money or victory in the courtroom, it's about protecting an image. Lively might reign victorious right now, but how long can she dodge if Baldoni truly has something to expose? One particularly sharp observation from Melcher is Lively's pattern of conceding under pressure. Remember? She previously dropped the emotional distress component of her case, which forced her to release therapy notes. That decision didn't come lightly and revealed a vulnerability under the surface. If Baldon's team can strike a nerve again, the tables could turn faster than anyone expects. Zambrano also noted that Baldon's team might deliberately focus less on direct claims against her and more on gathering leverage discovery in this case could mean everything. This isn't to say Baldoni automatically comes out swinging. Any piece of evidence he's holding would need to be strong enough to shift the judge's perspective, and right now, Lively is holding a better hand. But just imagine if Taylor Swift's alleged connection turns up in discovery, or if there's proof somewhere of Lively destroying evidence. As Melcher hinted, a Joker card like that could turn Lively's PR win into an absolute nightmare.
The case got wiped out by Judge Lyman's ruling, so there weren't a lot of good options to go for. All the claims about defamation or these statements that were allegedly made, those weren't actionable, meaning that the Judge Lyman said those are dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can't be refiled. And the only thing that was left was this claim that his economic relations or advantages were disturbed by her conduct, and he was given a chance to tune up those allegations and didn't do it. So the case was already on life support, and they basically just pulled the plug, if you want to hear it in very blunt terms. Yes, he could appeal, but the legal issues still are there, which there are strong protections in the law for somebody who's making complaints of this nature. And that's what she invoked in saying these were privilege or protected speech. The question I had is, those protections under California Civil Code Section 47.1 require that she have a reasonable basis to make a complaint, and that she did not act with malice. And I kind of question why he couldn't have at least alleged, hey, all this was not reasonable and with malice, and get to a jury on that. But Judge Lyman didn't see it that way. So basically now, He is a defendant. Justin and Wayfair are defendants, and the best that they can hope for in the case is to defeat her claims, but they have really nothing pointing her way.
What is your take, Ron? Do you agree, or do you think he's setting up an appeal? Do you think he could win an appeal?
So no, I agree with Chris's analysis in the extent that the claims that were wiped out with prejudice, and he can fix those. What's interesting to me is that Baldoni's attorney, Friedman, he's very smart and tactically savvy, and this is a tactical decision to not amend the complaint, which the judge told him how to fix it and come back and have a shot, and they decided not to do it. And the decision not to follow, basically these underlying hints of like, hey, if you really want to keep this claim, this is how you fix it. There's one of two decisions that were made. One, they didn't have the facts to satisfy what the judge wanted, keep those possible remaining claims. Or two, the other possible thing is that they're just like, listen, we're winning the PR war. People are upset about this. Let's just stop worrying about what pleadings, and let's just get into discovery, and let's really get into this case and make our blows that way instead of delaying this because the judge, did something we didn't expect. And the only other third thing, and you keep bringing up appeal, is that there's a chance, although these are very rarely granted, that they could try to do what's called a writ, which is, go to the appeal before you're kind of supposed to. But I think that would be a waste of time. But it's a really interesting tactical decision not to at least try, because the judge kind of told them this is what's missing, and if you have this, chances are I won't kick these two out. And they decided not to do that, which means either they don't have it or they decided let's get into discovery. Let's start really making real pain, which is getting into, tell Blake that she has to pose and, pose everybody around her, get that kind of pain, because people don't like that. And that may encourage other things to happen that Baldoni and Friedman decided they do want at the end, versus try to resuscitate their complaint.
With Justin Baldon's case stumbling into what legal analysts are calling a mortally wounded state, it's tempting to think the drama has reached its final chapter, but has it? According to Christopher Melcher, the defamation claims that once anchored, Baldon's entire case against Blake Lively have been entirely wiped out thanks to Judge Lyman's ruling. Not only were these claims dismissed with prejudice, no less, but Baldon's own decision not to amend his lone remaining interference claim has left many scratching their heads. Without an active complaint, it's clear his case is teetering, if not outright collapsing. But before you rush to declare Lively the runaway victor, the story might not be as cut and dried as it seems. One avenue Baldoni could explore is an appeal, but experts like Melcher warn that's an uphill battle. California's legal protections for speech and expression are notoriously tough for plaintiffs to overcome, proving malice a requirement for defamation in this context is a steep climb, and Baldon's chances are slim unless he discovers something groundbreaking. Legal insiders see his failure to pursue stronger claims or an appeal as a sign he might not have that smoking gun yet. Frustrating as it sounds for Team Baldoni, the rules heavily favored defendants like Lively in situations like these, creating an environment where appeals are often a waste of time and money. This leaves Baldoni with only one real strategy left on the table: digging deep in discovery. Zambrano has been blunt about why Baldoni's next chapter likely hinges on the discovery phase, where both sides are required to produce evidence and documentation. It's a clever play, especially when you consider how much power this stage holds. In a case like this, forget courtroom attacks. What Baldoni needs more than anything is ammunition. This shift in tactics suggests Baldoni's team may already suspect there is something buried in Lively's communications or dealings that could turn the tide in their favor, whether it's a bombshell inconsistency or even an attempt to manipulate evidence. Discovery could uncover the kind of leverage Baldoni's team desperately needs. Still, Lively's position remains strong. She's already riding the benefits of dismissal with prejudice, meaning potential legal expenses for her are now on Baldoni's tab thanks to California's fee-shifting laws. This financial advantage puts her above settling unless Baldoni brings forward something truly damaging. And experts agree a settlement doesn't seem likely unless Baldon's discoveries prove utterly embarrassing or destructive to her image for now. The ball is in his court, but it isn't an easy one to play despite her current dominance. Those closely following the case are cautious to call it over-discovery has a way of unraveling even the most confident defenses, and unless both sides walk away unscathed, surprises could still emerge whether this legal clash fizzles out or reignites careers. And reputations hang in the balance, leaving only one thing certain. This isn't just about the law.
Interesting, as to summarize, correct me if I'm wrong here, we're looking at a filing from both Friedman as well as here from Lively, an email they attached where she is attempting to withdraw. Here's the email effectively. Sorry, making sure you can see it here. Here it is. She is trying to partially dismiss without prejudice, basically her emotional distress, all that stuff. Can you sort of explain what we're looking at and what this request, before we get into the craziness of it, what is Blake actually requesting here?
Sure. So Blake has a bunch of legal theories or claims in her current complaint, and at any point she can dismiss one or combination of them as she sees fit. In federal court, it has stipulation to dismiss, which means the other side has to agree to the form of how the dismissal is happening. So that's what you're looking at here. And there's a fight, which we'll probably talk about, as to how the dismissal is being done, is with or without prejudice. And I could talk about that if you like, or I don't know if your viewers already know that.